Hello everyone and welcome to my little corner of the internet. My name's Michael and I'm bitten by a radioactive book. Today is Tuesday and normally that means tag videos, but due to the announcement of the year of Cosmere yesterday, we are going to do the weekly wrap up a day later and scrap the tag for this week. But next week we're not back to schedule because there will be the February TBR on Tuesday, I'm pretty sure of that. Yeah, the tag is a bit on the quiet side at the moment, but we had a lot of tags during Vlogmas, so I'm sure, yeah, that's kind of okay. So, last week was another very good reading week for me. I finished 5 books and 2 of my massive fantasy tomes I'm reading this month, so yeah, I was pretty happy with that. First off, I finished The White Window by Lemony Snicket. I'm doing this for the Neverlanders group read of the series of unfortunate events. So the books are very, very short and we're reading a book a week. And normally I do a book in one sitting in about 3 hours, so it's not that big of a series. It's a series that I enjoy, and so I also enjoyed the White Window, but it's a series that is not like really special for me. In this particular installment, we have a character that is very, like driven by irrational fears about almost everything, so the moral might be a bit about teaching children to not be afraid. So that was kind of nice. My little nitpick with the series is a bit that every like villain in the series is kind of like ugly or disfigured, like having hooks for hands, or even one seems to be like a transgender, so you could if you are really overly political correct, say that Lemony Snicket is teaching children to be like afraid or suspicious of people who don't look like beautiful or yeah, not like a normal standard, to be wary of people like that. So that is a bit of a danger in the series from my point of view. But apart from that, it's a very enjoyable and whimsical kind of middle grade series. And so I rated the third book 3 stars. Next up, we are going to have a very unpopular opinion on BookTube, but I've read The Fallen Kingdoms by Morgan Rhodes, and I really disliked it on every possible level. The writing was very plain and mediocre. I always say it's almost uncomfortable, like being on a party and there's somebody really drunk and he's all over you for the whole evening and you want to like, back off dude, back off, and in the moment when you think you get away, he vomits over you. That's how the writing in this book feels, unfortunately. We have a lot of characters. All the side characters stay completely one-dimensional. The main cast has a bit more depth, not everyone. There are like 4 main cast characters. There's one like Jonas who never breaks out of his like one-dimensionality, at least here in the first book, or he has just at the end one one dimension replaced by another dimension, but that doesn't make him to a like complete character. And the main problem is that every single character has to bend towards the plot, and so has to act out of character. So the only consistency with characters is the constant inconsistency in the characters. That is, for example, I give you, I try to give you one example. There's one character that is really driven by revenge, and his whole his whole being is just about revenge. He's just a revengeful character for almost the whole book. and then he needs to like charm a woman, and then we get a thought from him, like because the revenge is because his brother was killed, and oh yeah, normally his brother would have gotten all the women, but now that he is out of the way, the women would finally look at him. And that is a total break from his like whole personality. And this happens for every character. Every character has this scenes where he acts, or he or she acts completely out of character, and yeah, it's a bunch of inconsistencies. The plot is solid, but nothing special, because everything is like everything is worked to bend towards the plot, so the plot can function. The world building is a catastrophe. The world building doesn't work on any level. The author tries to implement economics and fails. I give you an example. She builds like 3 kingdoms, and wants to tell us that one of the kingdoms solely relates on producing wine and to sell this kind of wine to the other countries. And they were able to do that by magical assistance from another country, because they got magical seeds that would grow on their plain, because nothing else would grow there. And then they have a contract about like 50 years, and where they say, okay, we have like an import-export agreement with the country that gave us the seeds, and after 50 years the contract runs out. And now they are really surprised that the contract ran out, and now they can't sell their wine anymore, or not for the same price. Seriously? Seriously? You have like 50 years to prepare and you do nothing? You have 50 years of income? What's that for a leadership? Another thing, if nothing grows there, people wouldn't have settled there in the first place. Third thing, if you look at the map, this country is surrounded by the sea. People, go fish. Japan could do it, why can't you? It's and that is on every single level. You want another example? The author tries to implement military. Okay? Military. Well, that could happen in a fantasy. A battle. So, there is a siege battle. What happens? You have like an army of 5,000 soldiers. A siege, as you might know, does not happen overnight. So, these well-prepared logistical genius bring supplies for 3 days. 3 days. For 5,000 people. Really. And then they have to hunt in the land for food. Really? That doesn't work. Have you added up numbers? Have you read something about how that kind of logistics work? How long a land can contain like an army like that? You can't hunt for 5,000 people. Next thing, they attack. Of course, they don't have supplies, so they need to attack. So, of course, they are going to lose, because all the other guys have to do is stand up on their like walls and shoot them down. Oh, and then they attack by night. Really? 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 Attacks at night. Please, Morgan Rhodes, with all the money you ripped off of teenagers, please buy a ticket, fly to Europe, to any castle, buy some military garment, like anything, get 20 friends, one of them should be your editor, and then try to march information in the dark towards a castle and try to see anything. Yeah, you told me that somebody put on torches on a way to the castle, but have you ever seen what a torch does to your eyes? Have you ever seen how a torch lights just a little part and how big a castle actually is? Sieges at nights, storming a fortress at night, it can't work. Read a book about medieval military, girl! So, we know that this could never work out and win. But so, what do the defenders do? They leave their walls and go in front of the castle, so they have the possibility to lose the battle. Really? Really? How stupid do you think I am, Morgan Rhodes? How stupid do you think that your readers are? The author doesn't take her world seriously. The politics fail, the economics fail, the characters fail, the military fails. Everything fails in this book. This is an insult to readers. We are not that stupid. And of course, as it is marketed as YA, it needs some romance elements. And even the romance elements I would expect to work in a book like that. Even if nothing else works, they are terrible. It is like a schoolyard, a kind of, oh, he is hot, I want him. That's kind of the niveau we're talking about. There are characters, there is one couple that look where the characters look each other in the eye twice, never have a serious conversation, and once in a conversation the guy stood up to the girl and she is so impressed by that singular event, 2 stares into her eyes and his usual normal hotness, that he pledges eternal love to him. Eternal love. And he of course falls in love with her. Stupid brat that she is. Really? Can't even begin. So overall you could say, because neither world building nor characters nor the writing really worked for me, and the only thing that was like remotely mediocre was like the plot. I can't give this book something else than 1 star. I really didn't like it. It wasn't for me, and yeah, I hope this little rant I did, with some exaggerations of course, but with very solid critique, could show you why I've rated this 1 star. But coming to more pleasant things, I've read Inda by Sherwood Smith. In contrast to Fallen Kingdoms, this book is very well written. It has a very special approach. It has an omniscient like narrator. So we can swap points of view within a paragraph rather quickly. That needs some getting used to, but leads to some very insightful kind of characterization, because we often see like immediately what a character does and how another character reacts to what happens. Our main character is Inda, who is like a noble son, and he goes to a city to learn to be a military commander. That all seems like very standard, coming of age, learning a trade, something like that. But what is really fascinating about the book is that it has like layers upon layers. For example, the small recruits around Inda are mostly all from noble families. So the politics in the world are reflected on their level. So when fathers or older brothers manipulate them to do something, because it is something that has to do with the overall politics in the country, and we get to see that as well. That is reflected on the level of the children that are going to become recruits, or that are the recruits there, and that is done very interestingly. The book has some like really well implemented twists that I didn't see coming. That was yeah, really interesting, and is really complex. The world building is great. The characters have depth. Yeah, it's a great series. I'm really looking forward to read the second book in February. That was a recommendation by Samantha from Novels and Nonsense. So Sam, thank you very much for that, because this is becoming one of my personal favorite series as well, and therefore I rated the first book 5 stars. Next up we have Royal Assassin by Robin Hobb. It's the second installment in her Farseer trilogy. In the series we are following Fitz, who is a bastard son of a prince, and he is involved in intrigues in a royal court. And the book is very character driven. I didn't know that about the first book, and I was a bit like disappointed in it because I expected something completely different. But now going into the second book and knowing what Robin Hobb's like writing is all about, that it is very character driven, that it relies very heavily on like a lot of dialogue, I enjoyed this one quite more than the first one. However, at some points it can become very slow, and if you're a reader who has like problems with a lot of like bad things happening to your characters, that might not be the book for you, because the main character and some of the likable side characters have to suffer through a lot. And yeah, the book is not like a book that makes it easy or offers like a lot of happiness for its characters. So be warned if that is something you might have an issue with. However, if you don't, then this is like a really great character study. The depth of the characters is like amazing. The relation between the characters is very interesting. How the whole plot unravels really slowly. How problems are piled upon other problems. The relationships feel very real. If you want to read about a really yeah, like realistic relationship with real problems that people have with each other within a relationship, how communication works in a relationship, for example. This is like a great example of this. And overall, yeah, the book really shines on that kind of character level. So for me, not like the perfect book, because the world building could be a bit more, or there could be a bit more of the world building. There could also be like, yeah, a bit of less repetitiveness in the in the in the whole like dialogues, and so the pacing is a bit slow for me. But nonetheless, I really enjoyed this and gave it 4 stars. And last but not least, I've read Here There Be Dragons by James A. Owen. It's a middle grade series, and our main characters, John, Jack, and Charles, are living in London and are connected to Oxford, and a murder of a professor happens there, and that gets them involved in events that brings them to like a magical country, the archipelago of dreams. And there are like yeah, there are islands for like every fantasy fairy tale world story you can imagine. There's Avalon, there's Predane, yeah, Lilliput. There is a lot of different islands on there, and the strength of James A. Owen is clearly to take a lot of very different mythologies and mix them together and get an organic kind of plot and world out of it that never feels like forced. And yeah, so if you so I would say this is a reader's book, because clearly if you read a lot, or if you know a lot about like fairy tales, mythology, middle grade literature, stuff like that, then this is a book with a lot of references and nods to the heads to various works of, yeah, of the themes that I mentioned, and it's a great enjoyment to read. So overall, I've rated this 4 stars. It's the first book actually in the Chronicles of the Geographica Imaginarium, no, of the Imaginarium Geographica, I think. And I'm looking forward to continue with the series. I'm doing this as a buddy read with a couple of other booktubers, and we're reading a book per month. So next month there will be dragons again in the second book. So that is my kind of lengthy and in one case very ranty wrap up of this week. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. If you want to see more of me, subscribe to my channel. If you want to know what's coming up on my channel, please look inside the description box. There's a little segment there called On the Horizon. I wish you a good day and hope you get bitten by a really good book too. Bye.